We just published a remote viewing project with global implications, some of the best remote viewing we've ever done at Future Forecasting Group. Hi there, crypto fans. Hi there, remote viewing fans. Dick Allgire here. Another beautiful day at Ethereum Place. We were given a double-blind tasking, and the work that we produced was quite significant. It left us all stunned. One of our viewers, Naeem Vendreas, had a moment of clarity that was so precise and so exacting, so perfect. One of our analysts looked at the work and said, "Oh my God, Naeem broke remote viewing." It is one of the stunning moments of clarity in all of civilian remote viewing. The target was the near future events at Taiwan. Who's going to be running Taiwan? Will Taiwan go to war? And the data that we brought back stunned all of the viewers. We had to have a little talk through it session after we got the feedback, and we recorded that, and I'm going to play that for you now. This is not showing all the actual data. I'm going to put a link to the actual project below this, and you can go look at it. But this is the viewers after we were told what the blind target was, and we were absorbing the impact and the import of the data that we had produced. All of it corroborated, all of it exacting to the target. It was, if I was going to have people look at one project that demonstrated our capabilities as remote viewers, I would say it's this one. And we're fairly certain, and I don't say this glibly, but we're certain that Chinese and U.S., well, intelligence agencies around the world will be studying this data. They're probably already looking at it right now. So here's the viewer debrief where we talk about our reactions to getting the feedback.
We just finished our debrief that is probably what the team is calling one of the heaviest things we've looked at since the Luminosity event when Hamas attacked Israel a few years back. We were looking at the future of Taiwan in the year 2040, but what the viewers brought back is a global conflict that is very fast and rapidly evolving that ends in the redrawing of national boundaries all over the world. I'm going to do a check-in with the team. The big question I have is, I encourage everybody to go to ffgrv.com to take a look at the data here. What do we do with the data? I'm just going to run through on my screen here. Naeem, your thoughts here.
Yeah, that was a heavy one. China, Taiwan, that's anything happens with those places, I mean, they'll probably have a significant financial impact on, technology, manufacturing. Yeah, if that happens, no one's gonna just sleep through that. Like everyone's gonna feel that, especially in the West. Like you're gonna feel that in a bunch of different ways.
Right.
I don't think there's any way Taiwan can stop that from happening. I just don't. I'm not an expert on that, but I just don't. I don't see how that could happen. If China decides to do that, it looks like it's kind of going to be a done deal.
Right. Right. I'm curious. Because that's we crafted a story based on the data that I wouldn't say we crafted a story, but the data does point to something like that. I'm also wondering if there's another catalyst somewhere. If it is it in fact China invading Taiwan and taking over, or as Naeem suggests with his data, is it Taiwan sitting there saying, "Hey, we are independent. We have nothing to do with China," and kind of just crossing that line, which would then cause China to come over there and take over? I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities though. Edward, let's get your thoughts.
This is one of those really intense ones that we happen seem to happen every couple of years for us at this scale, where it's like we're all kind of taken aback by it, and it's just we're just gonna have to watch it. Unfortunately, my sense is intuitive sense is that we're right, and that probably
Yeah,
concerns me the most.
me too, for sure. Thank you, Edward. Daz, checking in with you in the UK.
Oh, this was a dark one. Yeah, it's just dark, isn't it? It's I don't get affected by this very often, but seeing the data, because I was doing my data on this, and and now I remember doing the RV session. I was like, oh yeah, this is a bit dark. It doesn't matter if I'm off on this, because the other guy's going to get something good, and it just be me going off in some kind of fantasy. But to see four viewers all report the same kind of coalescing events is like, oh shit, I have to take notice of this now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have to be honest, I do find it slightly worrying, because the intensity of the effects that we were reporting, global effects of quite significant proportions. I did see though that I felt like there were going to be like free pre-events before the big thing actually happens. So that might be some of the markers, and I had that starting
Yeah.
early next year. So
You
we
did
shall
have a
see.
timeline, right? By 28, this will be well
Yeah, but
underway.
my timelines are a bit fluid. They're not the most accurate type things, but yeah, I did have three kind of pre-events before the Big Bang kind of situation.
We've had
So
lots of different unrelated projects that point to 27, 28 of being years to watch. And I hate to put
well,
another year out there like here's when the event, because it seems to always happen, but
yeah, but
that's
that's
what the data seems to be pointing towards.
pretty close timelines, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's shocking stuff, but it's good that I've seen everyone's data now, because I can keep an eye out in the local news and everything else to see what's going on, and if I see some kind of
Right.
pointers to some kind of escalation that's going to happen, um, then I will prepare even more than I usually prepare for these situations.
Yeah. Stock up on that toilet paper.
Yeah.
And I do want to ask that question, and get everybody's opinion on like how do you prepare for this? But let me get Dick's take real quick on just everything. Go ahead, Dick.
Watching the other viewers present their data while we're still blind, it was interesting. I was watching Naeem and seeing him talk about migration and migrants, and I'm going, I didn't get that in my session. And then Naeem goes, yeah, and I see this building and there's the Chinese flag over this official building. And I went, well, Naeem's off on a tangent. Then you give us the feedback, and it was like, okay, he specifically answered the question in the tasking. And I also, it seems to me that when China does take over Taiwan, the first thing they're going to do is flood in mainland Chinese people by the thousands. So that was Naeem's session, which seemed nonsensical under blind, conditions, now makes really good sense. And then another data point was in all the sessions we've done, when have Edward and I both said, oh, Trump is in a plane and it gets turned around and I said, Trump's traveling, he's in the limousine and he gets called back, like come back to a meeting. So that was a very specific data point that we
Yes.
corroborated. So.
Yeah. Significant crossover. Go ahead, Des.
I was just gonna say, based on the fact that you guys got Trump on both of you as well, his term is until 28, isn't it? So we are most probably, unless something happens that keeps him in office more than we want, or
Yeah.
more than
Well,
something he would probably like.
He's supposed to
Um,
be in office till it would be January of 29. So throughout 28. So yeah, you would think it's going to happen in the next 3 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which tallies with my dates is as well on that
You had
one.
late 27.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that what you had? Yeah.
yeah.
Coming soon.
And
Jeez.
to be honest, it would be the perfect opportunity for someone like him
It's
to.
a declare an emergency and we can't give up
I'm
power.
I'm now the president forever. Yeah. Who
He's
knows?
too old for that.
Agreed.
He's too old.
So my question is, how do you, we have this data, and I do trust this data and the work that you guys put out there. What do you even do to prepare for something like that? What are your thoughts on what do you stock up on, or how do you position yourself? What are your thoughts here?
For me, I'm just, it's stock up on time marker things to
Mhm.
look at, if that happens, okay, get ready.
Utilitarian wise, though, I have done for a while. I've got stocks of batteries, torches, solar panels, food, that type of that kind of enough stuff to last me quite a few weeks if I needed to in an emergency. But looking at these RV sessions, I don't think that would even put a dent in what I would need
No.
for a longer term type thing. So it's definitely something that I'm going to think about a little bit more after seeing this data. How do I survive in a potential situation? And how do I even help my extended family? Because it's not just you
Right.
on your own. You have other
Right.
people you've got to look out for as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a
And
lot of it can be
Naeem-
simply done, buying stuff in Prime Days on Amazon, that kind of stuff. It's fairly easy to stock up on essentials if you organize and just stick it all in a big box and just shove it in a shed somewhere or something like that.
Right. Then you have it. It's good to have.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think building a bunker and going crazy is, I think because then you may have to move. You have to get out of the area, right? So I think knowledge and being ahead of it, I think that's the greatest tool that we have is being able to recognize those signals and then say, this is affecting my area or it's not, and leaving before you're spending 12 hours in a traffic jam somewhere, which makes you vulnerable to getting robbed, getting attacked, to everything. It's recognizing it ahead of time, having a plan ahead of time. I think there's more value in that as opposed to having 500 rolls of toilet paper in your shed.
Yeah.
You know,
But you
Naeem, you were
definitely
gonna
want to
come.
have it.
You want to have some of that or a really nice bidet. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Naeem.
I was gonna say financially, maybe buy a bunch of graphics cards or something. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mm,
I mean, with the whole AI boom, if Taiwan and China got into a conflict, I mean, that would be a major issue for technology. Like when during COVID, when there was like a chip shortage, the prices of certain things like went through the roof. Like
Yeah.
combine that with the Bitcoin mining, people were trying to get graphics cards for Bitcoin mining. Like the prices like pretty much doubled. It's
That's
like
right.
you can maybe make
Right.
some money buying certain
Mobile phones
technology or
would be worth
investing
a
in.
fortune, wouldn't they, in that scenario?
Yeah,
And get an extra iPhone.
Yeah,
or maybe
iPhones. Oh my
even
God, iPhones would be worth so much money in that scenario.
invest in like some alternative American chip makers. I know there probably aren't that many, but if something really
wow,
happened, they would have to switch over. Like, and I had some
that's a good
data, like
idea.
things getting relocated, things moving to a new
Yeah.
area.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
It's
So,
as we
interesting.
discussed, that's already started. They do.
Yeah,
The US and other countries are realizing that their reliance on Taiwan and even China to a degree is got out of hand. So they are starting to relocate back already.
It's
So
happening here.
yeah.
They're
yeah.
doing, they're
We're seeing the
building they're
chess
building the
pieces.
factories here.
It's amazing when you can step back and look at the little steps that get you to a conflict of a global proportion, all the little things that happen to create that perfect storm of chaos.
Now
Wow.
I start thinking like, okay, maybe this is why the price of gold and silver are starting to skyrocket now.
Mm,
This
It
could be
makes you wonder, doesn't it?
part of the catalyst
yeah.
too.
Yeah. Dick, I want to get your thoughts. How do you process this data and prepare? I mean, you're out there in the middle
Well,
of the Pacific.
yeah, that's the point. I'm in the middle of the Pacific. It basically, um, Honolulu or island of Oahu is like ground zero if we get in a conflict with China because we're the forward operating base for the Pacific. The Pacific Fleet is here at Pearl Harbor, which has been attacked. Um, Schofield Barracks, Kaneohe Marine Corps Air Station, the secret base at Kunia, NSA base. They got one at Wahiwa. This whole island is a military base, so therefore a target. So, yeah, pretty
Yeah.
pretty heavy data.
Didn't we a couple of years ago internally do some targets that were looking ahead a couple of years, and we actually had a scenario that's very similar to this that we just described, but also
Yeah,
involves Hawaii and your area as well.
that was the one where you drew the Lahaina
Drew
fire.
Lahaina's
Exactly.
fire on that one. Yeah.
I remember doing a session as well with missile strikes coming from the Russian
We were
area and
looking at
Europe.
Yeah. I drew fighter pilots on
Camp
that one.
Smith, which is the military
Mhm.
intel base above Pearl Harbor. Yeah, we should go back and dig that up.
Yeah,
Yeah, we should look at
especially in
that.
light of this RV, I think that might have a bit of significance as well, and a bit of a play in it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, it's worth
I
looking
had
at.
like land or signing over land documents in that session too.
Huh. Yeah, worth relooking, and maybe we can put something back out for that,
Definitely.
like a
Yeah.
look back on that.
But
Okay.
we thought back then it was Ukraine, I think we were fearing was going to escalate, which may, but
Right.
all the analysts that I listen to say China is the real, that we should be more concerned with China. So
Wow.
they're
Okay.
they're the hostile actor. So
Yeah. Well, I think if you read between the lines, the US has been preparing for a war with China for at least the last 5 years.
And China for the last 50 to 100 has been preparing for war with us, I would say, for sure.
It's a standoff that's definitely is going to happen at some point.
Well, from what I've been hearing is some videos we watch that are people who study China and what's going on there, and kind of how they're doing. It doesn't sound, and I'm not an expert, but it doesn't sound like they're doing well, and that is a concern. If you're not doing well, war sometimes becomes the option to kind of reset everything for your failing country. So, you know.
I watched a TikTok literally just yesterday of someone high up in China, and they were pissed off with what Trump was doing. They said, "Look, they said, did you just see our parade?" And he was saying, "We got this. I think he was calling it a missile. He called it 51. He said it's got 50 nuclear warheads in it and one hydrogen bomb. He says we can deploy that and get anywhere in the world in 20 minutes. He said there's nothing out there that can bring any of this down."
That was
yeah,
Naeem's world events data.
thanks to the Clinton administration, they gave him that. Well, I had lunch with Captain Jim Fennell, who was the director for Intel for the U.S. Pacific Fleet. He was a big time guy. I made a video for his retirement ceremony and got to be friends with him. I was having lunch with him a few years ago, talking about China, and I asked him as a Navy Intel guy, like, how vulnerable are our aircraft carriers? And he said, oh, China has missiles that can take them out in like 5 minutes. Just boom, they just go up and come straight down. There's no defense. And also, when we do war games with China, they just overwhelm us with missiles. We don't have enough ammunition. We don't have enough anti-missile stuff we can stop the first 100, but the next 200. So
The other piece is I think their psychological game. They're one how patient they are. And they're allowing all these psyops to run against us, and we're destroying ourselves. We are becoming weaker by the day here in the United States because we're so divided and can't figure anything out. And they're very just calm, patient, and strategic in in their methods. They're playing a long game.
It's This is so weird that we're doing this target right now because in the UK today, our prime minister came under intense questioning in Parliament because they've had a while back they caught a Chinese spy that was taking all the secrets out of the UK, and the case against him was recently dropped. And there's allegations that there's some dodgy dealings and going on. That we're trying to placate China instead of confronting them, all this kind of stuff. So it's just weird that all that's happening here in the UK as we get to do
Yeah.
this target as well.
Yeah. Odd timing for sure. Get some toilet paper, Daz.
oh,
There's a
we didn't talk. This is in the rearview mirror now. The big crypto crash last Friday.
We did have a brief chat. We did an earlier chat recorded, but we can dive into the crypto chat.
Oh, okay. If you guys already talked about
So
it.
did we talk much about the crash? We talked more about wallets and Caleb and Brown and all that stuff. But I'd love to
Well,
get your thought real quick.
I had in my session that a trade war would be a catalyst for
did.
this thing, and the crash apparently was related to what Trump said, which triggered a bunch of bots to sell and basically crash the entire market,
Right.
and so it was kind of related to that.
Fun times. Fun times.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
Interesting times.
this was a doomy, gloomy one, man.
It is. But here we are again. We've been through this several times. For those of you watching, you'll see like we have to keep a sense of humor about things, and we laugh
Yeah,
at
we
some pretty
do.
dark stuff because otherwise you just get too sad or too upset or too angry. So Daz, when he started off, I had this real dark intro of the thing, real dark and heavy because it's a heavy topic. And Daz is like, "Well, this is a dark one," and he starts laughing about it. But it's like you have to laugh and keep it light sometimes because otherwise it's just too depressing for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for this one. I highly, highly, highly recommend checking out the full debrief. The target was amazing. The tasking was really good. The division of effort and the corroboration was really strong with the viewers here. So check it out at ffgrv.com and get the scoop on what's going down. What's going down in Chinatown. So here we go. All right, friends. On behalf of Dick, Naeem, Edward, and Daz, and the rest of the Future Forecasting Group, I'm Dennis Nabby II. Thanks for watching.
That full project is published today at ffgrv.com. I'm going to put a link to the actual target below so you can click on that and see how to see it. Future Forecasting Group, we are remote viewing the change of our entire civilization. It's a big job. All right, see the full session. Link is below. Thank you.